What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Kinyo here. Back. For another fun one. Another Bangariso, Bangarasa, Bangaludio. Another big one. Big one for the real ones. Another left, right podcast. That's right. Just little old me. In this episode. But, there's a lot of topics on the week, so I wanted to make sure I at least covered some of them. For those of you who like politics and like borderline illiterate run-throughs, here I am. I'm not illiterate. I can read, but one of the reasons I started this podcast is because I think politics is so hard. And so many people do such an interesting job of covering it. I said, okay, if politics is in the realm of entertainment strongly, then I can at least do my bare minimum. So let's cover all the topics really quick. Number one, government shutdown. The top headline is the federal government shutdown, which began October 1st after Congress failed to pass a funding bill. The core of the stalemate is a dispute over health care policy. The Democrats demanding an extension of an Affordable Care. I'm just going to say everything how I see it, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. With Democrats demanding an extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies and Republicans rejecting the demand as an unacceptable policy rider. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. Democrats, obviously they do want to do this. In my opinion, they should just let it go. That sounds terrible, but the fact is the Americans voted for something. And they voted for something that technically is bad for them. But that's what they wanted. They wanted to try something out, Somebody says, hey, I'm not going to eat for the next 7 days. I'm on a fast. Okay, go ahead. It's far be it from me to stop your fasting. Unfortunately, they're trying to help a bunch of people, not die. But unfortunately, I don't know what you can do about it. I think what you can do about it is if it was miscommunication, if people are lying to other people, that you should, and that's what it comes out. Let's say they enact this, people lose healthcare, people die, and you can prove it, and you can prove that the other party lied. That's where you should be able to take some sort of legal action. But, you know what I mean? The way Democrats are saying is like, oh, Republicans want us to help us do this. No, it's just, it's leverage and it's compromise on both sides. It's unfortunate if the healthcare policies, which I think they are, going to cause as much trouble as they are. It's unfortunate, but that's what people voted for. So, you got to give people what they voted for. Unfortunately, even if it's unfortunate, you got to do it. Mass layoffs. So the problem to me is on both sides, but it's about how we move forward. We have to move forward. It's always better to move forward than stay stagnant. Mass layoffs threat. The Trump administration's and budget has threatened permanent layoffs of federal workers if the shutdown continues. A significant departure from previous shutdowns that primarily involved temporary furloughs, mass layoffs. So that's part of the Republican strategy. So it's not surprising. I don't pretend to be surprised when I'm not surprised. And again, it's what people voted for. So it's interesting. I'm just saying what I think is going to happen on stuff. I do think it's probably not the best for the economy, though I have been saying for years that we do need to shrink government. So the problem is, how do you shrink government without firing employees? Now that I think about it, it's kind of impossible. But I wish it could have been way more detailed and we could have done it in a scientific method. So, but I actually, literally for years, I've been thinking shrink the government, and it's what people voted for. I just think that the way they're doing it is maybe is not the way that I would do it. I would take a more scientific, detailed approach. Anyway, targeting funding cuts. The White House has begun freezing or slashing federal funding for approved projects with the specific focus on blue states. Now, I've been hearing that favored by Democrats. I mean, of course, they would target blue states, though. Also, not surprising to me, this move is seen as critics bipartisan, a tactic. Okay, every tactic in the government is going to be partisan because they're in parties. But pressure on to put pressure on Democratic lawmakers. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I didn't look at all the different things that are getting cut. Again, it's what people voted for. I don't think it's the best thing, but as you can see, we have systems here where there's the state and the federal government, and I think states are gonna have to really step up now and do what they can more to help. And I see California's doing that, so I think that's where that's gonna have to come back on, because they're targeting those cuts. I mean, are cuts gonna be untargeted? Don't cuts have to be targeted? I don't know. I wish they were more targeted, actually, more specific. Blame game. Both Republicans and Democrats are engaged in public relations battle, each side accusing the other of being responsible for the shutdown. That's just obvious stuff. Who do I think is at fault? Again, I think the Democrats should have just not let them do it, and they should have just given them whatever they wanted, because that's what the people voted for. Let them vote for something else next time, but there's no reason to shut stuff down, in my opinion, especially not right now. Now the stock market's in play. I think, personally, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm the furthest thing from it. Stock market has to crash. It just has to. And it might be a really, 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 really big one. I don't think we're going to get into a recession. I just think that it's going to behoove you to not have too much money in the stock market. Anyway, GOP, I am not a financial advisor. And that's not financial advice, I'm just guessing. GOP unity. The shutdown has surprisingly created a new sense of unity among some Republicans, including former fiscal hawks who previously opposed short-term spending bills. This unity is being attributed to President Trump's control over the party's agenda. I mean, yeah, that seems like what the GOP is enjoying right now. Unity. Yeah. I mean, definitely, they're uniting. Democratic strategy. Democrats, now in the minority, both in the House and the Senate, are using shutdown as an opportunity to exercise what power they have, standing firm on their demands related to health care and opposing what they see as the president's overreach. Oh, well, again, there's not a lot of you guys, so do what you can. I'm not gonna tell you not to do what you can. Shutdowns, though, to me, should not happen. But that's how our political system is designed. Really, it could be designed. We could have a whole new political system. I'm not gonna be involved in designing it. I don't want that blame for the next 5,500 years when I'm not even around. It's funny that we never blame the founding fathers for anything. We're never like, geez, Benjamin, what are you writing here? What are you writing, Mr. Benjamin? We always say, we have to interpret it perfectly, like it's some sort of holy grail, like some sort of religious relic that if we could just distill the essence of these founders, we would find ourselves somewhere more true. Economic impact. Economists are estimating that the shutdown will cost the U.S. economy billions of dollars. So, with daily furloughs, federal workers alone. Oh, yeah, because you do have to pay them back. If you didn't have to pay them, I would say maybe you're saving some money in a terrible way. But the shutdown is also causing delays for the releases of key economic data, monthly jobs reports. That's what I was talking about. Overinflated. Stock market would have dropped already a little bit, but the problem with the stock market is trading. I don't actually Let me not pretend to be an economist. I don't know what the problem with the stock market is. The federal services disrupted. The shutdown is impacting a wide range of federal services, while essential services like Social Security payments and mail delivery continue. Others are being curtailed. Yeah, they never seem to shut down the post office, thankfully. This includes services at Social Security office. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Anytime you delay people getting paid, it's crazy. And the closing of the national parks. I'm sure the animals are happy, but that's unfortunate. Let's keep it going. Get a little broader here. Middle East peace plan. The Trump administration unveiled a peace proposal for the ongoing conflict in Gaza. The plan, which includes terms from a ceasefire, hostage exchange, and new apolitical governing committee from Gaza, has been partially accepted by Hamas. I heard a little bit about that. Middle East stuff, it's crazy. I'm glad they're working on it. That's my opinion on it. Keep working on it. Crazy stuff. Supreme Court on immigration. The Supreme Court has granted a stay allowing the Trump administration to end temporary protected status for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan immigrants. This is a significant move on the administration's immigration policy. Wow. Supreme Court has granted a stay following the Trump administration to end temporary protected status Venezuelan. Okay. I think immigrants are great. I think they're great. I think the idea that they're violent is probably a lie. I think the rate of violence amongst humans is the same no matter what. Humans are just terrible people. I'm not. Sounds bad to say that, but humans, we don't mind doing bad stuff. I don't know why that is. We allow ourselves to, do whatever it is that we want to do. That's what it is. Book bans. A new report from the PEN America revealed that Florida, Tennessee, and Texas account for 80% of book bans nationwide in the last 2 years. The most frequently books banned are titles dealing with issues of race, gender, and sexuality. I don't know how we ban books. Wouldn't that just be a freedom of speech thing? Unless we're talking about not putting them in school libraries, which, yeah, maybe not. I remember I was looking for weird, Flowers in the Attic. I read that, I think, in high school or middle school, just because, you hear about it being banned and then you go look for it, and then it's super easy to find. And some of that stuff is weird. I think we should probably have, definitely not in middle school. High school gets weird, though, because you have, 18-year-olds in senior high school. But I think you also have 13-year-olds, so let's not have anything weird in those 18-year-olds, should be driving to school, stop by Barnes & Noble on the way home if you need to grab some. But I don't know if we need it in the school libraries. But freedom of speech, right? But not in the school libraries. Not in the school libraries. What does that have to do with school? The school library should be filled with school-related stuff. And then kids' books, kids' fiction. But even some of that stuff these days, I don't know. Military and domestic affairs. President Trump has faced criticism for remarks about using U.S. cities as a training ground for the U.S. military. The U.S. Marine Corps, has issued guidance and its members regarding the impact of the government shutdown, their pay, and all this ramping up of the military stuff for domestic use is psychotic to me at first glance. And then I also don't think it makes sense financially. But then I am interested, it's okay, well, why can't some of these cities? I always wonder, okay, if I had police, I feel like I could do a good job of sending them out to stop crime, but I guess it's harder than that. And it's definitely harder than that. I think America sometimes, especially the way currently that the GOP likes to frame humanitarian issues in the U.S. is kind of weird to me, because like every country's, but I guess it's hard, every country's problems, domestic problems, are their own fault. So, if you organize people in a certain type of way, and a lot of this stuff was before I got here. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying these are problems that have been around for a long time. And so, yeah, I think you have to figure out how to help the people that you've displaced. America especially. I'm like, you shipped in all these black people. You shipped in all these slaves. And now you don't want to have to come up with a way to deal with them, and then you disenfranchise them for years with civil rights and stuff like that. I'm just like, don't pretend like this is some sort of weird issue that you didn't see it coming or something like that. You definitely knew what was going on. Figure out a way to fix it, in my opinion. You can't just pretend like you didn't do it, and then just be upfront with that. Stop acting like, I don't know why people act like they don't know what's going on. That's the weird thing to me. RFK Jr. and Public Health Human Services Robert Kennedy ordered a new review of the abortion pill. The move was prompted by a request by Republican attorneys general raising questions about the pill's safety and effectiveness. I mean, that sounds like the one thing that he's doing lately that is his job. The Tylenol thing was weird to me. But, I don't want to hear anyone talking about anything related to health. I want to publish a paper. The fact that you even feel comfortable to talk about something, every time you speak on it, it changes the number of people who live or die. So the science needs to be irrefutable for me. I want to see a paper and charts. I want to see the background of the institute that did the testing. Don't play with me. Not on health stuff. I'll fire everybody. Drug trafficking and foreign policy. The defense secretary announced a U.S. strike that killed alleged narco-terrorists near Venezuela. The incident is being framed by some as a new war on drugs. I mean, that's also, safety. If people are coming in, from whatever direction, you got to make sure that everything's okay, everything's copacetic. So that's a very tough one. So we'll see what happens on that. U.S.-Ukraine relations. Reports indicate that the Trump administration is providing Ukraine with intelligence to enable long-range strikes on Russia energy targets, a significant shift in U.S. foreign policy toward the conflict. War is always above my pay grade. There's too many things going on wrong there. I wish Russia would leave Ukraine alone, and I'm glad that the U.S. is helping the Ukraine. I think they should. I think that's smart diplomacy. Very smart. Smart foreign affairs management. High-profile legal cases. The news is tracking the sentencing of P. Diddy. Yeah, and the 8-year sentence of a man plotted to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh. I didn't hear about that. P. Diddy stuff. The charges seem so much smaller when they came down to it, but I guess that's what good lawyers are for. I feel like it's kind of awkward for some of the people who testified and stuff like that, because he's definitely going to be out in a year. So, anyway, probably. I mean, he's sentenced to 4 years, so. And I feel like some people were going to OD with the testimonies. I mean, he did the stuff though, but it's just it seemed like that's the kind of testimony you give when you think you're never going to see anybody again. It's not funny, I guess, but anyway. FBI operations. The FBI has announced the results of major crime-fighting initiatives, including Operation Summer Heat and campaign that resulted in thousands of arrests over the last 3 months. Certain departments, I feel like, are just announcing stuff. It's like, if you have a job and HR is like, hey, hey, we're doing something called Make Everyone Smile with a Cake over the next 3 months. And we're going to be focused on making you guys smile with cakes. Okay. Thank you for the announcement from your department. That is your job, though, so continue. But I like a newsletter. I love to get a newsletter in the mail. Send me a newsletter. U.S. citizenship test changes. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services has announced changes to the naturalization process. The idea that the U.S. doesn't want immigrants in is laughable. Even with our censored history that we give out, that was like the biggest thing that I learned about America is just, how they got all these people in here. We just got them in. I remember for some reason, like a core memory to me is just like a lot of people got ringworm. A lot of people got ringworm. I don't know what book I was reading in elementary school about, all the immigrants coming in through New York, but I remember ringworm. For some reason, my elementary school brain remembers ringworm was a real problem. But anyway, we like immigrants. They're great. All immigrants are great. They're just good. And I mean, the U.S. is very good so far. We'll see how it continues, but they've been very good at getting the best of the best. That's how I got here. I'm not the best of the best, but my parents, you have to really be going to school and be doing a lot to get over here, especially from Africa. So anyway, I don't understand the weird immigration policy. It's just like if people wanted to join your fan club, you should have a system of getting them in. Not for their sake, really. I don't understand why so many people want to come here. I really don't get it. I think the things that people think are easier here are not easier. I think it would be easier to stay where you are and start a business. It would just take like a little bit. You have to be really intentional and really smart. I think it's a little safer here, a little bit. So it's like, but I don't know if it's easier. I don't think so. Crime trends. Reports on crime in the U.S. cities show a mixed picture. While homicides and other violent crimes have generally decreased from their pandemic-era peaks, some cities are still experiencing higher crime rates than before 2020. Okay, so violent crimes, homicides, those seem like the big ones, if I'm not mistaken. The things I'm worried about, I don't know. I feel like fighting crime is just way harder than I could ever imagine, because I'm just like, there's like so much fraud going on. And then getting away from businesses. I mean, from like crime, like police and stuff like that. Why are businesses, I think businesses, just like everyone has to get insurance, I think every building should have to have a security. Have security. Because why am I shopping in a place where you don't have security? Why have you done that to me, the customer, the shopper? Why did you set a pile of goods? Because I'm looking at the corporate leaders. Why did you make a pile of goods, put it out in the middle of nowhere, ask me to come look at it? Whole time you didn't even lock down the area. I'm looking at this stack of Nikes that you put in the middle of the desert. You hired Janice, to stand there if I want to buy anything to collect my money. You have nothing to protect Janice, nothing to protect me. Shame on you. I think every business needs to up their security. You're playing around. It should be mandatory. There should be one employee who's trained on a dual basis. Even if you're a cashier, you also need full security training. Stop playing around. That's like a main thing going back years. You had cavalry, caravans, and then you had caravan warriors, the people guarding the caravan. What's going on here? And you have it in your budget. You're just trying to keep that money up top. You're trying to keep it up top. Stop doing it, CEOs. Because couple more ones, and then we're out of here, you guys. Hope you're having a great, wonderful day. Getting some a little bit of politically themed news, but a little bit of fun too. We're just hanging out, chatting. Next episode, I'll go over some of the latest comments. We don't get a ton of comments. Like one dude commented, "This is why education is so important," but I didn't know what he was talking about. Sometimes people make comments that don't make any sense. Please comment things that make sense if you have a chance. Stock market, despite the government shutdown, stock market has been booming. I already talked about that though. Combination of corporate deal making. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of foolishness going on in the corporate area right now. A lot of foolishness. And then you have to realize there's a lot of full-time traders. So, and they know how to target money. That's why I just don't think it's fair for some of these people who, your money's stuck in the stock market. You can't sell right away. Like a lot of the people who are doing the inflationary techniques, they have systems to protect themselves. But if you have like a 401k or something like that, certain things are just not fair. It's like you guys are being forced to anchor a system that it's kind of crazy. But hey, I don't know everything about everything. But it's interesting. We'll see what goes down with the stock market. Corporate news, major business stories include a potential $38 billion acquisition of renewable energy company BlackRock-owned firm, and a push by Trump administration to I'm sorry if I didn't read that well. Trump administration to get pharmaceutical companies to lower their medication prices. Yeah, that's great. Keep doing that. As far as major companies like BlackRock, that's why everyone needs to start a business. You need to increase your business literally, because the only reason why these companies are able to get overly bloated is because there's a lack of sophisticated knowledge of estate management amongst the general public. Even the people who have a lot of money or like buying, bonds and things like that or whatever. The fact is, everyone's getting lazy on the inside. You really need to understand estate management. You need to try to do a business. Yes, you lose money doing a business, but that's R&D towards you being able to set up a system to where you're protected. And when you're protected, you have leverage and you can push back. There's no reason why. The reason why BlackRock can buy all these companies is because these companies are founded in harder times by people who are extremely resilient. Those people go away. So a lot of these companies would die out if a BlackRock didn't buy them, because the expertise, the resiliency, the grit to make some of these companies stand up and be businesses just doesn't exist anymore. And this is estate management. And so those people, their kids will still have money for a little while. Why? Because BlackRock is coming in and buying these things. And finding the value in them and tweaking them and stripping them down and turning them into these little weird companies that don't still have a real resiliency built in them. Meaning what? If you started a business competing against them, you could probably get some of their customers. Why? Because you're going to be up all night thinking about how to make your business go. So I said, this is the time to start a business, because it takes a good 12 years to get a business to where it needs to be, because of your brain, not because of business, because of your brain. So get the process started. Supreme Court shadow docket. The Supreme Court's decision on Venezuelan immigrants' case has drawn criticism. Grave misuse of its emergency docket, overriding lower court decisions without full hearing. I haven't heard about any. The Supreme Court is overreaching. Well, they call them the Supreme Court, so isn't that what you're supposed to do? Overreach? Don't call them Supreme. Call them the bureaucratic, well-controlled court. No, I'm just joking. But I hope, hey, Supreme Courters, there's going to be books written about you, so I don't know why you would want to do anything bad. But if you're doing anything bad, check it out. If you're not, though, I mean, with some of these high-level things, I don't know. I don't know on this one. International sanctions on Iran. sweeping UN sanctions against Iran have taken effect. Okay, great. Iran, stop doing nuclear stuff. Cut it out. We don't need that over there. It's tense enough. Immigration raids. The Trump administration shutdown plan has specified that immigration raids and deportation activities would continue even as other federal operations are curtailed. Again, immigrants are just not the problem. They're just really not the problem. But again, you get what you voted for. I think we're gonna miss them. You know, certain companies are already missing them. It's just that certain consumers don't know, but they're gonna miss them too. And they're not gonna miss us. Honestly, I don't really think so. I think when you go back to your country, just enjoy your life. You know, you just got a leg up. You can build some really cool stuff. A recent Supreme Court decision has allowed President Trump to withhold nearly $5 billion in foreign aid, a move that is expected to impact a range of international humanitarian efforts and U.S. relationships with foreign countries. I just hope he knows what he's doing. Foreign aid is one of the most detailed instruments of progress and honestly defense. So it's just like, I hope you know what you're doing, because to me, foreign aid is the number one area you want to invest in. That's your number one ability to affect change. And I say that from the perspective of a business person, right? Because I've done business for years now, and one thing I realize is there's a lot of things that you can invest in. The second best, I'll start there so I can give you some context. The second best thing that you can invest in is technology to help your business function better, right? So, and that takes savvy, smarts, intelligence, right? AI's out. How can I apply AI to my business to give me to grow my competitive advantage, thereby growing my margin, my market share, things like that. But that's the second best. The first number one investment you can make as a company is in those people that you work with. And so viewing all of us as the company when it comes to the government, the best thing that we can do is use our wealth, because wealth is not even real. It's a currency, a vibration going on in a system of organization, right? So if the system breaks down, that erodes the wealth at astronomical speeds. But if the system is improved, if the overall organization of the lattice, if you don't know what a lattice is, I'm sorry. If the overall organization of the system is improved, the vibrational effects, the currency is going to increase astronomically. That's why we're wealthy. And so in a business, that's like, okay, let me figure out how to use my money to invest in other companies, and onboard new employees, empower external agencies to work on my behalf. That's the best thing you can do. Do you understand the inroads you can make? You know, and I'm not trying to be an imperialist here, but the markets you can open up with foreign aid far, far, far exceed the markets you can open up with grandstanding, and because they're just gonna cut you out of the deals. Someone else is gonna cut themselves into the deals, and now China is somehow selling more tamales in El Salvador. Actually, I'm about to get racist because I don't even know where tamales come from, so I don't want to talk on that anymore. But I don't think it's the best strategy. But again, you know, other people do, and that's why we vote. And we see what happens from what people do. So I'm not actually worried. Some of it probably needed to get cut, though. That's why, you know, part of me has always been conservative, because I think smaller. It's not so much smaller government. It's just that all plans are just rules, right? I think every sort of rule needs to expire in like a year, so that we can do detailed analytics reports and see what is coming back correctly, because it is easy to have bad strategies, especially when you've been successful in previous years. You lose touch a little bit. But anyway, you guys, that's the Left Right podcast. I'm going to shut it down there. What would be a good way to end it out? I want to do some sort of prediction thing. My predictions that I already told you about, stock market. As far as that, everything else seems like it's going pretty interested. I'm interested in the midterm elections. We'll see how that plays out. Democrats, you guys are pretty crazy too. I have to be honest with you. Republicans are, what they're doing right now, what Republicans are involved in, is not even Republican behavior. It's pop culture behavior. And it's super duper lame. But unfortunately, Democrats are a little bit too much involved in pop culture right now as well. Everyone wants to be pop culture. Everyone wants to yap, talk about a bunch of stuff that they don't really understand very well, and they just want to be outside. They just want to be seen. They just want to be extroverts. I think everyone needs to relax. I think the number one epidemic we have right now is a lack of relaxation. Everyone needs to chill out. Grab a chill pill. Pull the chill pill close to yourself and ask yourself, why can't I chill out more? Why? Why am I unchill? Why? But alright, you guys, I'll see you later. This is the Left Right podcast, and this is Kinyo, your host. And it's been another real one. Oh, also, I've come up with the name with the community members in the Left Right podcast. We're called Go-Getters, because this is on the Go Live with Kinyo network. So shout out to all the Go-Getters watching this. Drop your comment, and I'll see you next time. Peace.